everyone. Today we are here to discuss the third part of our chapter, class 8, chapter 1, the Constitution. In our last videos, we have seen meaning of Constitution, then we have also seen need of Constitution. In our last video, we have seen features of Indian Constitution. 4 features I have given you. Now, we will moving on further features of Indian Constitution. Before moving on other features, first we will revise what we have learned on our last video. That is 4 features of Indian Constitution. First one is our Indian Constitution is a detailed written constitution. As I have told you or as we have discussed, detailed written constitution means Indian Constitution is a detailed written constitution. Each and every rules and each and every law has been specifically described in our Constitution. And we have also compared our Indian Constitution with American Constitution. When we are talking about American Constitution or Constitution of England, they have unwritten constitution. But India is having a longest written constitution. Second feature we have discussed, provision of amendment. That means our constitution is having a special feature that as time changes, requirements and needs of the people also changes. And to meet the requirements and needs of the people, we have a special feature in our constitution that our constitution can be changed or can be amended by using special procedure which is given in our constitution. As we have discussed, if we wanted to change or amend the constitutional law, 3/4 of the majority is required in parliament. In parliament, if 3/4 people or if 3/4 members are ready to change or amend the law of a constitution, it can be amended. Third feature we have seen, Sovereign Republic. That means Indian Constitution has given that law that no any other foreign country is having a right to interfere in our internal matters. It is only this power is only in the hand of Indian government, that if anything happens or if any internal matter was there, our government is having a whole right or a complete right to take decisions on that. No any other external interference was there. Fourth one we have seen, socialist and secular country. Indian Constitution declared India as a socialist and secular country, which means that our Constitution has given certain rights which give citizen equal social rights. Like let's take an example, we are having equal educational rights, we are having equal right to work, we are having equal right to vote. Then we say that Indian Constitution also declare India as a secular country, which means we are having different kinds of religion in India. And according to Indian Constitution, each religion is having the same and equal respect in the eyes of law. Now moving further, we will discuss other features of Indian Constitution. The fifth one is federalism. Now what is federalism? Indian Constitution, when we are talking about the powers or duties of the government, or we can say the functioning of the government. The functioning of the government is not in one hand or is not in one level. Indian Constitution has divided our government into 3 different levels so that the work can be done easily or government can easily govern the nation. For that, Indian Constitution divides our government into 3 different levels, which is called as federalism, which means division of power. We are having more than one level of government and those governments are working on their own level or they are functioning on their own level. Now what are those 3 levels of the government? Central government, state government and local government. We are having 3 tiers of government, which is central, state and local. Central government works on central level. That means central government is responsible for the whole country, or we can say central government is having a power on whole country, complete power on whole country. And as we are having different states and central government does not have that central government don't have that much power to see all the states or the functioning of all the states. That is why Constitution has given each state a separate government or separate set of government, which is called as state government. State government, on each state we are having own state government, and that state government is having a power to govern that particular state. Third one, we are having local government, which is called as municipal corporations. In each local level, or in each level, in each district level, we are having local government which work locally, which pay attention to local problems of local people. So over here we can say that due to federalism, Indian constitution has divided our government into three parts, that is central government, state government and local government. Central government works on central level, state government works in each state, local government works in local areas, or you can say district levels, where central government and state government cannot reach, because we are having so many states, so many districts and so many local areas where central and state government cannot reach. They cannot understand or see what are the problems of local people. So to understand the problem of local people, we have local government, which is also called as municipal corporations. Now, when we are talking about powers of central, state or local government, central or state government is having a different list of subjects. That means Indian constitution has divided subjects, matters have been divided into subjects. Different matters are there in India, or different matters are there in our country, which has been divided in different subjects, and authority has been given to central government or state government. Now, Indian constitution has divided Indian matters or our country matters into three subjects, that is union list, state list or concurrent list. Union list means we are having union list powers are under central government. Union list powers or subject under union list is under the control of central government. We are having 97 subjects under union list. Like, let's take an example. If any matter is related to defense system, if any matter is related to our judiciary, if any matter is related to external affairs, or you can say international affairs or international relationships, all these matters, all these crucial matters comes under union list, which is under the control of central government. Now, when we are talking about state list, we are having 61 subjects in state list, which is under the control of state government. Now, under state list, we are having a matters related to states like education, agriculture, industry, law and order. All these matters comes under state list, which is having 61 subjects, which is under the control of state government. Now, we are having concurrent list, which has 52 subjects, which comes under the power of both central and state. Both central and state is having a power on concurrent list, which is 52. Concurrent list includes 52 subjects. So over here we can say that according to Indian constitution, we follow federal system or federalism in India, which says that our government power is divided into three levels, that is central, state or local government. We are having three sets of government: central government, state government and local government. And these three sets of government is having different powers according to their level, and there are different lists which gives power to central and state government, and those three lists are union list, state list and concurrent list, which has different subjects and they are under the control of central and state government. Now, moving further, we are having next feature, which is parliamentary system. According to Indian constitution, we are having parliamentary system. As we have discussed in our last video that India is having a parliamentary rule. We don't have a presidential rule like America. In America, head of the country is president and he is having the whole power or complete power over the government. But in India, we have a parliamentary rule, or you can say that parliamentary form of government. That means the powers are in the hand of parliament, not in the hand of president. The main authority in India is parliament, not a president. So we are having parliamentary government, and if we compare in America, we are having presidential form of government or presidential government. So over here, what is parliamentary system? Parliamentary system means as we conduct an election, and in elections according to universal adult franchise, we have seen that after the completion of the age of 18, each and every citizen of India is having a right or equal right to vote. When we vote, it signifies or it implies that when we are voting, we are choosing our own government, we are selecting our own government. And by this, what we are doing, when we are selecting our own government or our representatives of the government, those representatives goes to parliament, and on behalf of us, they are governing our country. So in the parliamentary set of government, we are having two houses, upper house and lower house. Lower house is Lok Sabha and upper house is Rajya Sabha. We are having two houses of parliament, and the members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are those we are electing them. They are our own representatives. By through elections, we are electing them. We are choosing them to govern ourselves or to govern our country. And they goes to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that is two houses of parliament. Now moving to next one, we are having separation of power. According to Indian Constitution, the power is not in one hand. That means we don't follow monarchy over here. We are having separation of power. That means Indian Constitution has divided power into different hands, so that power cannot be misused by one people or one group of people. So to avoid misuse of power, Indian Constitution declared India as declared Indian governing system as a separation of power, which says that we have a separation of power or a division of power. That means power is not in one hand. The power is divided between three categories or three group of people in India, that is legislature, executive and judiciary. There are division of power, and the power is divided between three groups, that is legislature, executive and judiciary. Now when we are talking about legislature, legislature is connected to parliament, because all the ministers who are there in parliament, and what are their work? They are making laws. They are making laws for our country. They are making laws to govern the country, to rule the country. And those laws have been made in parliament, as we have seen what is the lawmaking process. Lawmaking process means proposal has been sent to both the houses of the parliament. There is one procedure through which any application or any proposal can be made as a law. And when that particular proposal is made as a law, legislature is working, or all the ministers under legislature is working to make the law. Now when we are talking about the legislature, Prime Minister is head of the legislature. All the ministers, Prime Minister is the head of all the ministers in legislature. After making the law, it goes to executives, all the officials who controls law and order in our country. What is their work? They are implementing those laws which made by legislature. Legislature make the laws. Now they are only making the laws. They are not implementing the laws. The main work or the implementation of the law is under the control of executives. After making a law, executives implement those laws in our country. And lastly, which is very important, is judiciary. They are court of law. We are having different court of laws in our country, which supervises the laws. They supervises the legislature and executive. They supervises the citizens of India, whether the law has been made properly or not, whether the law has been implementing or not, or whether the people are following those laws or not. So they are the supervisors of the laws, which is called as judiciary. Now moving further, we are having other feature, or a very most important feature of Indian Constitution, which is fundamental rights. As we have discussed before, or as we have discussed in our last video, that Indian Constitution has given certain fundamental rights to its citizens, so that they can enjoy the democracy, so that they can enjoy the freedom which they have. That is why, to give citizens power to enjoy the freedom, power to enjoy the living in a democratic country, Indian Constitution has given certain rights to its citizens, which is called as fundamental rights. Now we will discuss all those rights, or all those important rights which is given to Indian citizens by Indian Constitution. The first one is right to equality. Indian Constitution has given right to equality to its citizens, which means all the persons or all the citizens of India is equal or are equal before the law. That means there is no discrimination with respect or irrespective of any caste, any religion, any language, any culture, any background, or any economic level, or you can say gender. There is no inequality. Inequality is prohibited in India, or it is a punishable offense if we discriminate with each other, or if anyone is discriminating in the name of religion, in the name of caste, or in the name of race, or in the name of language. There is no discrimination. If discrimination was there, it is a punishable offense under the right to equality. Fundamental rights or Indian Constitution has given that right to its citizens that everyone is equal in the eyes of law, or everyone is equal before the law. That means everyone has given the equal opportunity to live in our country as a citizen of India, which says that they are having all the persons are having equal right or equal right to enjoy in our country according to Indian Constitution, which is given in right to equality. This was a very important right, or this was a very important fundamental right, because it gives us right to equality. That means we are equal before the law, or if any big officer is there, or if a common people is there, common people or big officers or ministers, all of them are equal. Or different religious people, or if the people speak different language, if they follow different culture, then too they are having an equal right, or they have an equal respect in the eyes of law. Second fundamental right is right to freedom. As we say that according to democracy, we say that people is having all the rights, and people are having freedom to live in our country. That is why Indian Constitution has given right to freedom to its citizens, which says that each and every individual in our country is having a right to freedom of speech and expression. That means we can speak against our government, we can speak according to our will, we can express our feelings, like we are having media. Media is a very good example of right to freedom of speech and expression, through which we express our feelings. Through speech we express our feeling, what we feel in different matters, what we feel about our government, what we feel about a particular law. It gives us a right to speak about the law, speak about the ministers, speak about the government, speaks about the rules and laws made by the government. If we don't like it as an Indian citizen, we can go against those laws. So we are having a freedom of speech and expression, but we are having certain limitations also, that when we are speaking or when we are expressing our feelings, we should keep in mind that we will not harm someone's religion, we will not harm someone's feeling. Then we also have a right to association. Right to association means we are having a freedom to form any kind of group if we are having a common interest, but that group does not work against the nation or against the law of constitution. That we are having trade unions, we are having teachers associations, we are having many cooperative societies. They are the associations. That means we are having a right to form any kind of association if you wanted to fulfill a common interest, if you wanted to fulfill a common interest of the citizens or of the group of people. And then we also have a right to move freely. In India, we are having a right to move freely from one place to another. No one can stop us. So, according to right to freedom, we are having right to freedom of speech and expression. We have right to association, and we also have right to move freely from one place to another in our own country. Then third, we are having right against exploitation. See, in India, we are having many social evils. We can say that our society is not avoiding many things which is not good for our society, not good for our citizens. Like we are having domestic violence against women. We also have child labours. We have illiteracy. We also have many different caste system through which we can exploit minorities. So over here, Indian Constitution gives us a right or make a law which is called as right against exploitation, which says that Indian Constitution prohibits human trafficking. Human trafficking should not be there. Forced labor should not be there. All these things are punishable offence under the eyes of law. Forced labor should not be there. Child labor is abolished. Domestic violence should be not there against women or children. So our constitution has made certain laws which secured minority people, which secured women and children from the exploitation in society. Next one is right to freedom of religion. As we say that we live in unity in diversity. India is a secular country. That means we are having different kinds of religion, or we are having different kinds of caste which is there in our country. That is why this right is there, so that each and every ideas or ideologies of each and every religion can be secured or protected. So this right to freedom of religion gives us certain freedom, or it says that each and every religion or each and every individual is having a right to practice their religion, to worship their religion. According to Indian Constitution, in the eyes of law, each and every religion is having equal respect or equal status, and every individual, either they are of any religion, they are having an equal right to worship their God, or to have their religion, or to practice their religion in their own way without disturbing the feelings of others or other religion. Next one is cultural and educational right. Each and every individual, either they are from different caste or different religion, they are having an equal right to enjoy their own culture, because we are having a different religion, we are follow different culture. We are having different kinds of culture. We are having different kinds of festivals. Each and every religion is having a right to enjoy their festivals. Each and every festival is having a respect. Each and every individual is having a right to celebrate their own festivals. Educational institutions are there. They are having a right to present the different culture among the students, so that students will understand the different cultures in our India, about the different religion in our India. That means, according to Indian Constitution, we are having cultural and educational right. We can follow or we can practice our culture freely or equally. Next one is right to constitutional remedies, which means Constitution has given us certain law or certain rights through which, if we feel, if as an Indian citizen we feel that any of these rights, any of these fundamental rights which is given by our Constitution, if as an Indian citizen we feel that those rights have been exploited, or any of the governmental body, if they don't give us those rights, or if they are against all these rights, we can go to High Court or Supreme Court for justice. So over here, fundamental rights have been given to us. But to protect those fundamental rights, there is also one right, which is right to constitutional remedies, which says that if as an Indian citizen we feel that our fundamental rights have been abolished, or if we feel that government has not given us a freedom to enjoy our fundamental rights, we can go to High Court and Supreme Court for justice. So we are having 6 fundamental rights which is given to Indian Constitution to protect our interest or to protect our freedom, which is right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational right, right to constitutional remedies. So the last features of Indian Constitution is directive principles. Indian Constitution has given certain duties to our government to perform, which is it gives directives or rules to government to improve the condition of people and development of nation, which means that Indian Constitution has set certain rules or has set certain programs through which our government can work for the benefit or development of the nation, or for the improvement of the people who lives in our nation, or for the improvement of the citizens. Like, let's take an example. Before, we are having 5-year plans. Those 5-year plans are working, they are working to improve the economic, social conditions in our country. Where we are having so many programs, like educational programs are there, poverty elimination programs are there, or we are having unemployment programs are there. So many programs have been generated by the government to improve the conditions of people in our country and to make our country develop, or for the development of nation. So over here we have finished with the features of Indian Constitution. Once again we will revise that we are having different features of Indian Constitution. First one is a detailed written document. That means we are having a written document as a constitution. Then we have provision of amendment. That means our constitution can be amended. Then we have sovereign republic. That means no any foreign country is having a right to, or is having a power to interfere in our own matters, then it says that socialist and secular country, according to Indian Constitution, India is declared as a socialist and secular country because we are having different kinds of religion in our country. Then it says that we are having a parliamentary form of government, we are having parliamentary rule, we have two houses in parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, who make laws for our country. Then we have federalism. Federalism means we are having a division of power, we are having three sets or three levels of the government, that is central government, state government or local government. Then it says that we are having a division of power or separation of power amongst three categories of government, that is legislature, executive and judiciary. And then we have fundamental rights, which we have discussed, and directive principles. So over here we have finished with the chapter 1, which is the constitution, and in this particular chapter we have seen meaning of the constitution, need of the constitution, and we have also seen features of the constitution. I hope that you will understand the chapter. Now we will discuss the question answers when you will come in the class. Thank you.